breaking down the deals, data, and disruption shaping global markets. You're listening to The Daily Ledger with Dennis Sert.
Hey folks, it is January 8th, 2026. You're listening to The Daily Ledger Show, and I am your host, Dennis Sert. Great to be here with you today. We got some good stories we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about China's investigating Meta's latest AI acquisition. That would be Manus, the Singapore-based startup. We're going to talk about Anthropic raising $10 billion at a $350 billion valuation. We're going to talk about Larry Page loosening business ties to California post the proposed wealth tax. And finally, we're going to talk about JP Morgan Chase becomes the new issuer of Apple Card. And was that seen before? Could that have been predicted or not? Yeah, but before we get into that, let's discuss some macro trends here for the market. The Dow Jones is up 0.37%. The Nasdaq is down 0.65%. The S&P 500 is down 0.09%. And Bitcoin is down 0.98% to $90,387.93. Before we get into today's stories, make sure to download Byte AI Market Analysis, which is a financial co-pilot that tells you when you should exit and enter the stock market. Makes it real easy for you with underbought, overbought, and neutral stamps just like this. And it does it based off of technical indicators like the Bollinger Bands, RSI curve, and the MACD/signal curve, as well as news sentiment. So it basically comes up with a mix, and then it gives you a succinct output just like this. I use it every morning when trading with Robinhood. It helps me make more informed trade. Of course, it's not a financial advisor, neither am I, and past success does not guarantee future results, but it's a great tool, and I definitely recommend you download it off the App Store today. Let's talk about the first story. China is investigating Meta's latest AI acquisition. Regulators said they would look at whether the deal for Manus, a Singapore-based startup with Chinese roots, complied with China's export and investment rules. So it appears that China isn't very happy with Meta acquiring this Singapore-based startup with Chinese roots. To kind of further their AI. Of course, Meta is, I think, fairly fair to say, a little bit behind in AI compared to XAI, compared to OpenAI, Anthropic, right? And a spokesman for the China's Ministry of Commerce said Thursday that Beijing was reviewing the deal. So I think this was said by the Wall Street Journal's corresponding article on this. China warns AI startups seeking to emulate Meta deal not so fast. A spokesman for China's Ministry of Commerce said Thursday that Beijing was reviewing the deal. Cross-border acquisitions and the export of technology and data, quote, must comply with Chinese laws and regulations, said spokesman He Yadong. The Meta deal has prompted Beijing to worry that more Chinese startups eager for growth and capital will follow suit and pursue a U.S. buyout. Manus is the first high-profile AI startup with Chinese ties acquired by an American tech giant. So clearly, China's a little bit worried that more startups are going to kind of slip away. Perhaps maybe they're worried that DeepSeek will be acquired, right, by OpenAI or something. Who knows? Let's move on to the next story. Anthropic raising $10 billion at a $350 billion valuation. The startup behind chatbot Claude is raising money from investors, including GIC and Coatue Management. By the way, that's about 2.9% of the company. Can you believe that? Pretty wild. Of course, this comes amid many other raises, right? Including OpenAI and XAI recently. So it's just this cycle. Larry Page loosens business ties to California amid state's proposed wealth tax report. The Google co-founder has begun reincorporating several. Oh my God! Let me start this again. The Google co-founder has begun reincorporating several of his businesses entities in Delaware, including his family office, Coop, his influenza research company, Flu Lab, and his aviation company, Diatonomics, and his flying car startup, One Arrow. So there's a lot of chatter on X, and there's continuing to be a lot of chatter since this proposed wealth tax kind of made it onto the front headlines of the New York Times. A lot of big players out there in like San Francisco and the rest of California are kind of, well, they're kind of possibly throwing around the idea rather, that they may move out of California. Some are saying they want to stay and fight. Some are saying they want to leave. Some are predicting that they're going to leave. We'll have to see. It's definitely, the walls are definitely coming in. And I say that like as a negative point, like it's unfortunate that the walls are coming in. Like, it's kind of bad that California, as I said, when the story first came up, wants to kind of kill their golden goose, which is AI and tech. But that's kind of what they're doing here. And yeah, because you don't get like technological advancement really from communism. So we'll have to see about that. JP Morgan Chase becomes the new issuer of Apple Card. So last year I saw this story where apparently Goldman Sachs was kind of rumored to exit the deal that they had with Apple for their Apple Card. And it's just kind of interesting that today in 2026, they were kind of finally able to get out of that deal. So for about 2 years, maybe more, they've been trying to get out. Looks like JP Morgan Chase is looking to fill in that gap there. So how about that? I think we're going to leave it here today. I hope you guys make lots of money out there in the stock market today. I hope you minimize any losses, if any. And make sure you download Byte AI market analysis off the iOS App Store to make more informed trading decisions. This is Dennis signing off. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.